Okay, so today I want to talk about the difference between an experienced phlebotomist and a new phlebotomist. And I'm going to share my personal experience, meaning that I'm going to talk about the stuff that I thought was hard at the beginning as a new phlebotomist and how is it going now. I've been doing phlebotomy since 2017, so it's been a couple of years now, and I absolutely love it. I do. It's very rewarding, and I just love the fact that now my job seems very, very easy. Okay, I feel like it's easy money, and every year, if you don't give up, every year you deserve a raise. Okay, so you'll get a raise over time. Literally, you get paid more, and the job seems so easy. That's why I feel like it's easy money. So that's why I believe it's totally worth it. When you're a new phlebotomist, in my case, I was very, very scared, of course, because you're actually poking people. I feel like when you're new, you kind of doubt yourself a lot, but that's totally normal. That's why you have to be brave and just go for it once you feel that little bouncy feeling, okay? Because phlebotomy is not just by what we see, it's by what we actually feel. So that's why in school you're gonna be using your finger, okay? Get used to that feeling. And if you don't feel nothing, it's normal because you're totally new to phlebotomy. Now I literally just tap once and I already could tell it's a vein. And once I find a vein, I don't overthink it. I just go for it. So I would say if you guys are looking for a phlebotomy job, just even if you're not 100% happy with the pay, it's a total win, okay? Because one, you're gaining experience, and two, with that experience, you could definitely apply it at other places, okay? So I wouldn't worry too much about the actual pay, because there are some like outpatient places that pay very, very little. I've seen that before. But if you want to get paid top dollar from the beginning, I encourage you to work at a hospital. That's where I started, and they do pay very, very good. And then again, over time, it's so worth it, you guys, so worth it. So now for me, it feels like total easy money. When it comes to blood draws now, I literally, as they're sitting down or as they put their sleeve up, I can already tell where a vein is, and I just put the tourniquet. I don't overthink it. I get it done super fast. About 3 years ago, I discovered that I became a super fast phlebotomist. I would draw a patient every 3 to 5 minutes, okay? But that's with around 4 years of experience, around there. And this happened because I worked at a very, very super high census hospital. Those hospitals that have a lot of patients, you have no choice than to become very good because you're assigned to a floor most likely, or you have a pending list, okay? So basically it doesn't matter. The point is that you have a phlebotomy list of patients, and that number at that hospital, there could be up to 5 to 10 patients on your list. No matter how fast you would go, there would always be 5 or 10. Sometimes we get crazy days, and eventually you will clean up your list, meaning that you don't have no patients, but only like for 10 minutes. And then again, will be another one. By the time you get to that blood draw, but you get out of the room, you may have 3 more. So it's just nonstop. That's what high census is. Or it could be on a good day, maybe you don't have a draw for half an hour, but mostly within an hour you will have a draw. If you work at a hospital, there's a lot of time draws. For example, you could have I used to work PM, so you could have like maybe like 3 draws at 3:15, which is 1500, and you would go do those 3, and then by the time you're done, you go back to the lab, you receive the blood in the system, in the computer, and then you transfer the blood to the correct department, okay? And then maybe you don't have anything until 1400, which is 4. No, actually, no, sorry. And maybe you don't have anything until 1600, which is at 4. You don't have nothing, or you're looking. So you just keep an eye on your list. During the time you're in specimen processing. And then normally a specimen processing is where they drop off everything that comes to the lab. Okay, it could be a urine from upstairs, it could be a urine from ER, it could be a urine from even as a drop off, you could get a urine. So specimen processing, they're always busy and the phone is always ringing. So even if you're assigned to a certain floor, when you have nothing to do, you go back to the actual lab and you can help out in specimen processing. And what's crazy about working in the lab, well, it's not crazy, but I think it's really cool, is that you could also play urine cultures. That's when you go to the microbiology department, and then they have like 3 different plates. All hospitals are different, but mostly it's about 2 plates. It's like literally a plate, like a circle plate, where you plate a little bit of urine and you do like you just kind of draw on the plate, and then you put it in an incubator, and then I believe they keep it up to maybe 2 days or 3, and then if nothing grows, no bacteria grows, then that means as a negative urine culture. But if there is some type of bacteria growing, well, that's when the CLS always finalize those. So they look at all those plates, all of the organisms growing in the urine, and they're the ones who give that results to the doctor. But we don't just get urines for culture. We could get a swab, that could be a nasal swab or a throat swab. You could also plate those in microbiology. You could get stool. We also receive a lot of stool for different things. One of the most common one is C. diff, and that one's super easy for us to process, because as a phlebotomist, all you have to do is enter it in the computer that's in lab, and you take it to the right place. Normally you just put it in the fridge and that's it. That's your part. The CLS will take care of it. If it's a stool culture, that's definitely your job to set it up. So you set up those microbiology plates, you put it in the right incubator if it needs to be. Sometimes some of them are room temperature, so you mostly, I remember there was like 2 of them being room temperature, so you put 2 usually for the stool culture, which is really fun, you guys. That's why I love phlebotomy, because there's always room to grow. And then I remember there was 2 of them that's room temperature, so you just put them in a drawer or something. All labs are different, but some of them go in different incubators, and then one of them is called Campy. That's when you put the plate in a bag with something in it. It's just very cool, you guys. And then let's say during that time you still keep an eye on your phlebotomy list. You could get a stat, and of course stats, they come out of nowhere. So you could have 3 stats out of nowhere, or you could just have 1. So you stop doing what you're doing, finish whatever you're doing, and then go get your blood draw, and then come right down. If you have a lot of draws, some places have a tube system, which is really cool, because let's say you have like 5 draws and you're upstairs, you don't have to come like do 1 draw and then come all the way down to the lab. No, you could just do 3 and then send it out, and then maybe the last 2 you just take it to the lab yourself. Normally the specimen processor is there ready to receive whatever is there. And then let's say, that's really cool actually, because there's always a specimen processor that does not go anywhere. They just stay there the whole shift. But you as a phlebotomist, if you're assigned to a floor, when there's nothing going on, you go back to specimen processing and you can help process. And that's just, you help around basically. If the phone rings, you go answer the phone. If somebody goes on break and you see that somebody else has a stat, like another floor it's not being covered, you can go and help, of course. Or if you see that maybe the ER phlebotomist is really, really busy, if you really want to, you can go help. Sometimes they don't help though, because they're like, oh, that's my day off. Not my day off, but whoever's assigned to the ER is the most crazy shift, just because the ER literally never stops. When you're assigned to a floor, you could chill a little bit more, because you just have 3 draws, and then you go back down to the lab, receive, and if nothing comes in, so you're just there chilling. If it's morning rounds, like if you work at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m., normally the first thing you do is restock your cart, because you need to do morning rounds. That's when you go room after room after room after room until the whole hospital is completely done, all departments. And usually at 7 a.m., that's when the time draws are already on your list. The 8 o'clock draws are already there. But again, randomly you'll get those stats. So when you're a new phlebotomist, at the beginning it seems like a lot of information, but over time you'll handle it. You'll know what to do. It's very, very easy, and it seems very, very easy money. Of course you get tired, of course, okay? But I would say always try to stay calm. Even now that I am a skilled, experienced phlebotomist, I still try my best to not skip any steps, because when you're a new phlebotomist, of course you're gonna do mistakes. But even if you're a skilled phlebotomist, you might do mistakes if you start skipping steps. Okay, of course I'm not gonna say any names, but there's some people that have been a phlebotomist for way longer and they get distracted, and sometimes they mislabel. Oh my god, it's very scary. You know, that's the most scariest thing, because if it ever happens to you, you will freak out. But when that happens, you just toss the specimen away and then go do a redraw. Okay, that's the best thing you could do. You don't want to be doubting, like, is this the right person, is that not the right person? It's better to just go back and redraw. But that's what I've noticed of some of the experienced phlebotomists that have been way longer than me. They, not constantly, but they sometimes get too comfy with their routine, that they skip steps. And what I mean skip steps is that I always identify my patient, especially in outpatient area. I always identify before I draw them, and that includes all of the paperwork and the labels, okay? And once I'm done with the blood draw, once I cover the arm, before they step out, I always identify the patient again. I always ask them, tell me one more time, you know, like sometimes they get annoyed, like, again, but just tell them, can you please tell me your name one more time? And then it's better for you to hear from them. Don't say, is your name John Doe? Don't say that, because they might say yes, and what if it's not even them, you know? And they happen to always say, yes, that's me, when it's not even them. So I don't go by that, okay? I always ask them, and I want them to tell me verbally, like, tell me your name again, you know? And then I verify, tell me your date of birth. So always 2 identifiers. If you do that, there's no way that you're gonna mislabel, my friend, okay? Be very careful. But what I do want to say is that when you're a new phlebotomist, everything seems very hard, even doing blood cultures. But I would say there's they sell those very tiny notebooks. I would definitely use one of those, because I would always take notes, and then those little notebooks fit everywhere. I'm losing my breath. By the way, you guys, I'm pregnant. So I feel like when I talk too much, when I talk too much, I feel like I need to take a deep breath. But what I was gonna say, there's nothing wrong with taking notes. Make sure you always take notes. Always look at your notes. Eventually, you will not need notes, okay? I feel like it's good to take notes, because sometimes, of course, when you're new, they want you to ask questions, but sometimes some new people, like they ask too many questions, the same questions over and over and over, and it does get a little bit annoying, not to be mean, but the most basic stuff, just write it down. And another tip, if you're still here and if you work at a hospital or anywhere, does not matter, when you answer the phone, make sure you have a pen and a paper, okay? And write down everything that they're telling you. For example, the MR, their name, who are they calling, who's calling, and stuff like that. Because sometimes you do need their name, and then sometimes you hang up and you're like, oh, who called? Like, let's say you're new and they call from a department, and then maybe the nurse is saying, you could cancel that test, we don't need it. Normally, I don't not cancel anything regardless, okay? If they wanted to be canceled, you'd be like, oh yeah, you can go ahead and cancel it. But sometimes they ask you to do it, and then you hang up and you didn't get their name, and you cancel it, and then later the doctor might be, you know, mad and call you, the lab, and hey, who canceled this test? No, don't ever do that. I would say never cancel anything, but if the nurse really wants you to you know, delete a test or cancel a test, then just take their name, and then when you cancel a test, it gives you a box where you could type in the reason. You could be like, cancel per RN, and then the name. But normally, if they call, oh, we don't need this no more, I always tell them, can you please make sure you cancel it, please? And then sometimes they get busy or they might forget about it. So I normally call them back again, you know, until they actually cancel it. Because sometimes, you know, they might hang up and then forget about it. But also, I'm sharing this because I remember when I was a new phlebotomist, like, I would always be like, okay, what's that MR number? Like, again, you know, I would ask like 3 times. And I was like, no. So I would rather just have it on the paper. And then that way I don't have to ask like a million times. If you're still here, I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't want it to be super long, but I just want to say that I'm sure you will be very happy with the first phlebotomy professional check that you receive. But just know, although that you're very happy with the pay, okay, it still has to be more than the minimum, okay? Well, it gets better over time, and I promise you that's gonna feel like easy money, because you're gonna get paid more and the job seems a lot easier. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you're a student or you're considering doing phlebotomy, I recommend checking out, I have 2 playlists, okay? I have the short order of draw YouTube shorts, but I also have the long version with a little bit more detail about each color tube order of draw, okay? But it's not just the color of draw that you need to memorize. What I mean is not just memorize blood cultures, blue top, you know, red SST, green, lavender, pink, or gray. No, that's not what I mean. That's why you need to watch my videos, because I would go into detail what test is specifically the most common test for a blue top, for example, okay? And what department it goes. Because if you work at a hospital, especially at the hospital, you're like a specimen processor. That means that once you draw, there's a whole different world inside the lab. So you need to receive the blood in the computer, meaning that they already know it's in the lab. And then from there, you have to take it to the right department. You need to know what you need to spin down, okay? You need to know the difference between plasma and whole blood and serum. I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye-bye.